Hi, everyone. Welcome to this next part of Athanasius On the Incarnation, looking at sections 24 and 25. So, why did it have to be a crucifixion? Why did Jesus have to die such a humiliating death? And like Athanasius brings up that someone could ask, why not the Son of God? Why could he not go out in a blaze of glory with his glorious death? Well, Athanasius says, quote, if he had done this, it would provide suspicion against him that he was not powerful over every form of death. The notion is that Jesus couldn't have chosen his method of death. Just like a fighter or wrestler doesn't choose their opponents, otherwise it would seem like they're afraid of others and they want to only fight ones that they're confident they can defeat. Jesus shows in by dying a death that the Pharisees chose for him or Satan chose for him, shows that he is able to take on any form of death, even the one chosen for him by people who want him to lose. And so Athanasius says, quote, his own death was his trophy. That Jesus' death itself was the very point of his victory over death. And this is why the church honors and uses crucifixes. Athanasius isn't saying this, I'm saying this about the crucifix, Jesus on the cross, is the notion of Jesus enthroned, Jesus at the pinnacle of his victory over death. And that's the same message that Athanasius is portraying right here. And so in section 25, he then asks, why a cross? Why did Jesus have to die on a cross? Couldn't it be something else? And so Athanasius gives four reasons. The first he draws from Deuteronomy 21:23 and Galatians 3:13. Quote, for if he himself came to bear the curse that was against us, how else could he, quote, become the curse, in Galatians 3:13, except that he received the death that was in the curse? And this is the cross, i.e., the cross is the curse. For thus it is written, cursed is the one hanging on the tree. The cross is the tree from Deuteronomy 21:23. And so Jesus had to become this curse, therefore had to be a cross. A second reason he gives comes from Ephesians that talks about how there is no longer a division between Jew and Gentile. The people are united in him. And this connects to John 12:32, where Athanasius says that Jesus predicted how he would die, where he said, quote, when I am lifted up, I will draw all people to myself. This notion, then, the cross, where your hands are nailed out, outstretched. Athanasius says the one hand reaches to the Jews, the other hand reaching to the Gentiles, and both united in the body of Christ on the cross. And so that's a symbol. And so this it's symbolically important with the notion of the hands reaching out to all peoples, drawing all to himself. The third reason it had to be a cross comes from Ephesians 2:2, where we see Satan called the prince of the power of the air. Now, on a cross, you're up elevated in the air. And so Jesus was elevated into the realm of Satan's domain, the prince of the power of the air. Jesus was brought into the air, and that is where he died. So he didn't just defeat death, he died in the very domain, like in enemy territory. And so he defeated the devil, cleansing the air of the devil's power by dying in the realm of the devil. And the fourth point is related to this elevation, comes from Psalm 24:7, which talks about the King of glory coming in and the gates opening up. Jesus elevated shows the way to heaven. He opens the gates to heaven, drawing our gaze upward, so to look to where we are going, where we follow him, where we die with him. And that is how we get to heaven, following him as he has now opened the gates for us to come into now the cleansed air, where we can then be with Christ forever. And he will continue on with talking about why Jesus had to have been dead for 3 days before being raised. And we'll talk about that in the next video. Thank you.